discuss a few things. The territory known as Wakanda in the MCU has opened up a ton of doors and introduced a bunch of great characters into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, one of which happens to be one of Black Panther's biggest enemies, Killmonger. Killmonger quickly became a fan favorite among viewers, and if you were sad to see him go at the end of Black Panther, you might be in luck. Today, we are going to be talking about Killmonger's possible return in Marvel's Wakanda Forever, and a couple of theories about how we might see him brought back. Be sure to stick around until the end to find out how we think Killmonger will return to the MCU. Ever since he first appeared in the MCU as the main antagonist of Black Panther, Killmonger has become one of the most iconic characters and beloved villains in the cinematic universe. And I say the word villain with quotations simply because many fans have a hard time seeing Killmonger as a straight up evil villain that was bent on destruction. His character was way deeper than that, and I think that's why a lot of fans are hoping to see Michael B. Jordan reprise his role as Eric Killmonger in some capacity by the time Wakanda Forever is finished. And while it hasn't officially been announced whether Killmonger will be in the film or not, we have stumbled on a few theories that focus on the possible way that his character could be reintroduced in this highly anticipated sequel. Some of them even claim that we have already seen him in the trailer and just didn't realize it at the time. Before we go deeper into any of the theories, let's take a quick second to talk about why a lot of fans are hoping to see Killmonger's return and why they wholeheartedly believe that it's going to happen in Wakanda Forever. The first and biggest of these reasons was the reveal that Marvel did at the very end of the trailer for the upcoming sequel. While they may not have shown the entire Black Panther suit, in the final scene of the trailer, we got to see the bottom half as well as the right hand of what is presumably the next Black Panther suit. Right away, if you've seen the first film, you will recognize the similarities between this suit and the suit that Killmonger was wearing in Black Panther. Killmonger's Panther suit was a lot more flashy than the one that T'Challa had been wearing, and instead of being entirely made up of dark colors, his was actually gilded in a gold pattern around the mask, necklace, and belt area of the suit. On top of that, you could also see the gold running throughout the tiny lines that weave themselves throughout the rest of the suit. It's just only noticeable when the suit flexes and stretches as Killmonger moves around. This is very similar to the new suit in the fact that the two incorporated gold into the design, though in the new suit it appears to be more prominent than it did in Killmonger's. But it's still hard to not see the gold in the suit and immediately think of Killmonger, especially since he was a character that people loved so much. At the end of the day, a lot of people would simply want Killmonger to appear in Wakanda Forever, whether there is proof or not. But I would say that even if the trailer didn't provide any proof of his return to Wakanda, there is a ton of evidence in the comics to back the theories up. In multiple runs of the Black Panther comic, Eric Killmonger has been killed and resurrected, sometimes on multiple occasions. So it really wouldn't be a stretch for Marvel to bring the character back to the MCU, especially since Wakanda is currently without a king, and Eric Killmonger is technically Wakandan royalty. The first theory as to how Marvel might bring back Killmonger in Wakanda Forever might be the most obvious, especially to those who have read the Black Panther comics, and that's through resurrection. It's believed that Killmonger's body was somehow recovered, and he will be resurrected at some point in the movie, and eventually become the Black Panther once again. The reason a lot of fans believe he will be brought back to life is simply that the afterlife and resurrection seem to have become a reoccurring theme throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It first started in Black Panther, when T'Challa visits the ancestral plane and speaks with his father in the afterlife, and then later in the film, T'Challa basically came back from the dead and regained his title as the King of Wakanda. The theme is then continued in the series Moon Knight, when Mark and Steven find themselves in the Egyptian equivalent to the underworld, and the most recent view of the afterlife that we got to see was in Thor: Love and Thunder. Beware of the brief spoiler from the end credits we are about to share, as it's important to the theory. In the most recent installment to the Thor series, the post-credits spoiler we got to see was watching Jane Foster as she made her appearance in Valhalla during the post-credits scene. While many fans believe that seeing both Heimdall and Jane again in Valhalla was the MCU's way of showing that reincarnation or resurrection could be more than possible in the universe that they have created. On top of all that, Killmonger being brought back to life fits in perfectly with one of the biggest comic book storylines. Following an attempt to seize Wakanda, Killmonger was killed and his body was then claimed by the Mandarin, who we met in Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. While we had heard about him and even met a fake version of the character in Iron Man 3 and the other movies in the MCU, it wasn't until Shang-Chi that we met the real Mandarin. The Mandarin is the leader of the Ten Rings organization, and the MCU is named Xu Wenwu and is played by Tony Leung. In the comics, following his acquisition of Killmonger's body, the Mandarin was able to use the power of the Ten Rings along with the Resurrection Altar to bring Killmonger back to life. Once he was brought back, in the comics, Eric Killmonger did exactly what you would expect him to have done in the comics, which is to begin planning the death of T'Challa. That would obviously have to be different in Wakanda Forever, considering the fact that T'Challa is already deceased when the movie starts, at least as far as we know. So his drive in the movie would have to be different, but if he were to hear about an opening on the throne, he would surely set his sights to become the king of Wakanda and returning it to its previous isolated ways. On top of that, the odds of the Mandarin being involved in his resurrection would also be slim, simply because he appeared to die at the end of Shang-Chi, leaving Shang-Chi in possession of the Ten Rings. So either Shang-Chi would have to be involved in some way, or they would find a different way to resurrect him. But who knows, maybe the Atlanteans have a way. If you remember, at the end of Black Panther, Killmonger told T'Challa, "Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships because they knew death was better than bondage." If T'Challa did grant this request, and he more than likely did considering how respectful T'Challa was, then there is a good chance that King Namor found his body. Now, if Namor did find Killmonger's body and he knew how to bring him back, Eric would be an invaluable asset to him during his invasion of Wakanda. And on the other hand, Namor could provide Killmonger with the army to do so should he be brought back as a villain. While working for King Namor, he would also most likely get a shot at redemption if he were to double-cross King Namor to save Wakanda and become its king. It did seem like he and T'Challa, though they were enemies, sort of came to an understanding with one another at the end of Black Panther, didn't it? So I know a ton of fans would love to see Killmonger's character have a massive turnaround like that. The next biggest theory for how Marvel could reintroduce the Killmonger character would be to bring in another version of him from the multiverse. As the creators over at the MCU have said, and we fans have certainly noticed, phases 4 through 6 all have to do with the multiverse. We've already had multiple movies deal with the concept as well as a few Disney Plus shows, so we wouldn't be surprised to see the concept come into play in Wakanda Forever. Perhaps on a journey to find another T'Challa or Black Panther to help rule their Wakanda, they come across another version of Killmonger. Only the Killmonger that they find is from a universe where he is the king of Wakanda and isn't necessarily an antagonist. For some unknown reason, that version of Killmonger would willingly come to Earth 616 and help defend Wakanda against the attacking forces, whether they be from King Namor or some sort of military organization. This appears to be a theory that some fans enjoy, but others not so much. A few fans who have found this theory on Twitter have voiced their opinions on claiming that they would prefer that if Killmonger came back in Wakanda Forever, that it would be the version that we knew and met in the first Black Panther film. Many fans feel that it would be more personal for it to be the character that we all loved and feel deserves a redemption arc. As for my opinion on Killmonger returning, while I loved his character and what Michael B. Jordan did with it, I don't think that we will be seeing him appear in Wakanda Forever, and if we do, I believe it's going to be toward the end of the movie, and possibly even in the post-credit scene, to build up for his appearance in a possible third movie. Or maybe even a standalone Killmonger film. That would be cool too. I could think of a ton of stories that they could tell that people would absolutely love to see in live action. But I don't think that he will be a main part of the movie, simply because they are going to be introducing a couple of other huge characters that they might not want to pull focus from any of their screen time by throwing in Killmonger when he wasn't really necessary to the plot. So far, we know that we will officially be meeting Riri, the technological engineer that is going to become Ironheart, as well as the massive Marvel character King Namor. And trust me when I say that King Namor is huge. He was technically the first Marvel hero to ever exist when he debuted way back in October of 1939. Since then, he has been known to be on the good side of the fight and the bad side of the fight, and his backstory is one of those that could take multiple movies to fully explain, which means that they will most likely be giving the majority of the film's spotlight to his character, and having a character as popular as Killmonger come back from the dead without telling us beforehand, as they did with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield returning in No Way Home, would absolutely take away from Namor's time in the sun. No pun intended, since he spends most of his time underwater. All in all, I just don't think that Killmonger fits into this equation when it comes to Wakanda Forever, but I could be aggressively wrong. We still don't know a whole bunch about what the film is going to focus on, just what we got from the first trailer. That being said, it would be really cool to see Killmonger come to life at the very end of the movie or in the post-credits scene as a way to set up for either Black Panther 3 or a standalone Killmonger movie. Or they could even do a show for Killmonger on Disney Plus if they wanted to, and as long as they chose the right story arc to use, it would be epic. As we said, we know that there is still a lot to be disclosed about Marvel's Wakanda Forever, but with its theatrical release only 4 months away, we can be sure to get more trailers and teasers that are packed with a ton of information really soon. But what do you think about Killmonger returning to the MCU in Wakanda Forever? Do you think it's possible? And if so, how do you think Marvel will go about it? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. As for now, that's all, Disney fans. Let us know what video you'd like to see next in the comments, and like and subscribe for more magically packed videos.